It is now 5:30. I will call the select board meeting for October 7th to order. If you can please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So the first thing we will do is we will call the hearing to order as a separate item of the agenda. So we will start at 5:31, the gravel permit hearing continuation date. So we are opening this hearing just to set the date. There will be no public comment. So that's where we're at. So December.
I did reach out. Both attorneys did respond that they are available for December 5th.
Okay.
So it'll be December 5th at 5:30 p.m.
And they felt it was enough time to get the studies together too?
I dealt with the attorneys because the only reason I contacted the attorney because he had to leave early. I believe the gentleman from Sherman and Frederick said he was able to have time that would be enough time to create those studies.
Okay.
And actually, I think he had even mentioned if you got them done earlier, could he submit them earlier for the peer review? And so I think some of them he probably is going to be very easy to do. Maybe one or two may not be.
Now, just a follow-up question to that, Chris. So once they hand in the studies to us, we still don't have that account set up for how much the peer review is going to cost?
Correct.
So we would still have to do that on December 5th?
Yes.
Okay.
And Attorney Costa did forward the list of people who do peer reviews. So I'm starting to contact them to see what their hourly fee would be in order to be able to do it.
There was one of them, if I remember correctly, that he was unsure about, the particulate matter, right? He didn't have someone to peer review that.
Right. But when he sent it, he said one of them may do particulate.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They might do both.
Yes. Basically, he was looking at air pollution, for example, particulate matter. So.
Okay. So that date still works for the boards? Right?
Yes, yes, it does.
So I will now entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for the Tromsky Ave special permit application to December 5th, 2024 at 5:31 p.m.
I will make a motion to continue the gravel pit permit hearing for Tromsky Avenue until December 5th, 2024 at 5:31 p.m., 5:30 p.m. So, excuse me.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
Can I just add to that motion? To be held here
Oh,
at
yes.
10
Sorry.
West State Street.
Thank you.
Goodness.
Yes.
Do you want us to repeat it again? Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so next will be citizen participation.
I didn't receive anything.
All right, Chris, and what do you have for us today?
I have a couple Dufresne rentals. First one is for October 13th, 2024, arriving 12 noon, departing 5 p.m. Liquor, no. Number of people is 30. It's a family gathering, and they are requesting the Taylor Street Side Pavilion number 1. And the second one is for October 18th, 2024, arriving 3 p.m., departing 8:30 p.m. Liquor, no. Maximum number of people is 200 plus. It's a movie in the park. And they are requesting the parking lot area, the open field, the wooded areas on either side of the open field, and the gazebo.
right, for correspondence, you did file for the joint housing grant? With
Yes.
Lakewood?
Yes.
And then I think when we had first talked about the bridge inspection, is that something that Dave will come and talk to us when needed, when the bridge?
If there's
further
major
discussion?
concern,
Yeah,
if there's
no
major,
concerns on this one.
right.
All right. Anything else for us, Chris, before we go into?
In front of you, I put in front of you a charge for the town administrator search committee.
Yes.
We never really discussed their charge. So I just wanted to go through and see if you agree with what is written here, or if you want to change anything before I submit it to the pro tem chair.
And it got posted last week, right, Chris?
No, we haven't posted it yet because we were gonna go through the
Interim?
final job description and ad. And then we were gonna also do the interim town administrator position. But do you have a, is that charge okay, or?
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
I think it's good.
Is there anything else you would add, though? Good, Dave?
Number 4 says conduct reference checks on finalists and select finalists. When we just, after we select them, when do we do the reference checks?
That way it would speed up the process once they come to you. We've already done the background checks now.
It's just that they're both the finalists at that point, that's all I'm saying.
Yes,
We gotta check,
You-
checks on the finalists and then select the finalists.
right. Because if, say, we have someone who the committee feels is a finalist, but all of a sudden the reference checks don't pass, then that name probably would not be forwarded to the board at that point in time. If you want, I can make 4 and then make select finalist number 5 and number 5, number 6.
Yeah. It just seemed that,
Is that the way you want it
yeah, I
instead?
think just separate the two of them.
Okay.
So select the finalists first, then conduct the reference checks, or the opposite? Because like you're saying,
Right,
they
I
would be a
think
finalist at that
Right,
point.
well, right, because they're the same, so we're gonna choose, or they're gonna choose the finalists.
Yeah.
At that point, we just, we'll do background checks on the finalists that were chosen.
Right. And the other thing that I just want to mention to the board was we have our annual MS4 general permit for the sewer system. This was actually due September 30th. Usually the board signs off on it after you've had a chance to read it. So what I would like to do is put this on the board agenda for October 21st for signature of this report, this annual report that gets submitted to EPA.
Was that the one that was sent to us at 11:55 today? Or
It was
around
about, it
there?
was about that time, yeah.
Stormwater?
Yes,
So it's sign it prior to the town meeting?
yeah.
Okay.
And the last item was I had sent forward a letter received from the Division of Local Services, explaining that when Governor Healy signed Chapter 206 of the Acts of 2024, we are going to be paid additional funds for veterans, blind, surviving spouses, and veterans motor vehicle excise exemption reimbursement for FY '24. And basically, they're indicating that as it was a FY '24 revenue, that it can be used for determination of our free cash certification for this upcoming fiscal year.
So they're reimbursing you for veterans.
We're gonna get more money
services for the
than what,
family.
yeah, under this act, we're getting more money than what we were entitled to under the old act.
And it goes back to the veterans?
The veterans will get it, but we also get the reimbursement, so it's additional revenue that we get. So we can turn around and include it as part of our state aid revenue.
Yes, I did notice that another pack was on here, but I don't think we have it on our agenda, right?
That one there is backup documentation when we discuss the town meeting warrant.
All right, so we will move into new business and information. So number one is to accept departmental reports. Unless you have something else, Chris,
No.
sorry.
Nope, I'm all set.
I will make a motion to accept the departmental reports.
I'll second the motion.
And any further discussion?
Chris, do you know why the grader is out of service right now?
There was a pump on it, it is back in service now.
Okay.
But the main pump for it went. He had to find someone, number one, who could fix it and then get the part in. So that has been done. So now it is back up and running.
I don't have anything else. That's it.
All right. Dave, anything?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next is number two, approve and sign maintenance warrants.
Okay, I will make a motion that the town of Granby authorize for payment payroll warrant for fiscal year 25, warrant number 20, dated 9/27/24, in the amount of $462,208.23.
I'll second the motion.
Any further
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Any further discussion?
No discussion.
And as always, I will abstain from the teacher and the selectman salaries. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Dave and I vote out of necessity for the selection. Salvin.
Together.
Yeah, no, doesn't.
This goes with
Yeah.
this.
Thank you.
I will make a motion, the town of Granby authorize for payment, maintenance warrant number 21, fiscal year 2025, dated 9/27/24, in the amount of $377,229.73.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
No discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
I will make another motion, town of Granby authorize for payment, bills payable warrant, fiscal year 2025, warrant number 22, dated 10/4/2024, in the amount of $482,411.88.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
No discussion?
Chris, I just had a question. Is there a reason why we moved away from La Framboise for the water testing and we're now using another company?
Yes, we weren't getting the service that we were requiring.
Okay.
Well, what we found happening was that they would promise to come and do something. They wouldn't show up. They wouldn't show up. We had to keep hounding them to get certain things done.
Okay.
So we decided to move to a new company away from La Framboise.
Makes sense. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you.
And I will make another motion that the town of Granby authorize for payment, warrant number 22S, school bills payable warrant, fiscal year 2025, warrant 22S, in the amount of $59,454.78, dated 10/4/24.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
Discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, next is to approve any minutes. See if we've got any.
That I have.
Kathy, no minutes today? I think one of the ones we tabled was June 17th, right?
Well, February 26th,
Okay.
you're all done, I just haven't, so I sent them all.
All right, next is to review and discuss special town meeting warrant for October 21st, 2024. So that was in our stuff from last week.
I also made copies.
Is it in the new business? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Article 1 has to deal with the paving of the library. Back at the annual town meeting, we had put aside $70,000 as the projected cost to pave the new library parking lot at 297 East State Street. However, when the bid price came in, we were short. So I'm looking to transfer $20,000 from the article that was approved for cemetery paving. And the reason we have money available there is we had originally planned on having the cemetery paved by an outside firm. The projected cost was $162,750. However, David and his crew were able to do it for a price of $53,829. So we now have a leftover balance of $108,000. So instead of trying to raise and appropriate, I'm just reallocating the excess funds to this project. And we will be looking at doing the paving in the springtime, once the batch plants open up again.
So Chris, you had mentioned 20,000, but it says 15,000.
15 here.
Are we doing 15 or 20?
I have 20 on mine.
Oh, we have 15 on ours.
No,
Do we have a
if
different?
it's 20, it's 20,000.
Okay.
Okay.
It is 20,000. Now, who is going to be presenting this article?
You were sharing again,
Yeah, probably. We can share. We have 6 of them, so each do 2.
each do 2.
All right, pick your 2, I guess.
I'll take one.
You'll do one?
Sure.
You want to just do 1 and 2,
Sure.
and then we
Yep.
could just go down the line?
Yep.
Article 2 is to, approve Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5K. That relates back to the senior work-off program. And in order for us to be able to allow seniors to participate in that type of a program, we have to accept this section of the law. And I gave you a copy of 59.5K out of your packet. So you can go through and familiarize yourself with it. Then Article 3 is Chapter 59, Section 5N. And that one has to deal with veterans being able to do the same thing as seniors. I gave you a copy of 5N also. And the maximum amount that they can reduce their taxes by is $1,500 per
$1,500.
program.
And that's for both, right?
For both,
Veterans and
yes.
seniors. Do you want 3 and 4, Glenn, or 5 and 6?
No, no. I'll do 5 and 6.
Okay.
I was thinking we should have the same person do 2 and 3. Kind of go together.
Yeah, they do.
So are we changing who's presenting what?
No, I'm on 1 and 2. Crystal is 3 and 4, I believe, or?
Yeah, I think Glenn was just saying that 2 and 3 are very similar. So it would make sense to have the same person present
Oh,
those.
okay.
There's one's for veterans, one's for
All right.
seniors. So if
So
you
you
want,
break up 1 and 4, and
yeah, you want to do that?
so I can do 2 and 3 if you want to do 1 and 4.
Okay. So I'll do 1 and 4, Chris. Dave will do 2 and 3, and Glenn will do 5 and 6.
Okay. Article 4 has to deal with seeking approval to pay some prior year bills that weren't submitted in a timely basis to be included in FY '24 warrants. That's what it is.
And where are we taking this out of?
Probably stabilization fund.
It would just be the general stabilization fund, right?
Yes.
So Chris, I just had a question for Article 1. As I was thinking about how much money's left over, does that account get closed out and then the money rolls over to free cash afterwards?
It'll
If the
be-
project's
yes.
been concluded?
Yes. Yes. Unless we want to use it as a funding source for an article at the next annual town meeting.
Okay.
We could do that too.
Okay.
Article 5 is for supplemental budgetary authority for the fire and ambulance budgets. In your packet there, I have a letter from Chief O'Neill explaining how he came up with the numbers he needed. And I asked Chief O'Neill to be here in case you had any questions regarding his determination. Right there, Crystal. There you go.
Chief, you'll be able to speak to this at the town meeting?
Yes, sir.
Chief O'Neill, so I know we had talked about, when you came to the meeting the last time, that to kind of slow the bleed, as you put it in here, 2 basics, but now we're saying 1 paramedic and a basic.
Yes, but, the injured on duty firefighter paramedic is gonna come back before,
In January?
no, hopefully November 1st or before that.
Okay.
And then one of our firefighter EMTs just obtained her paramedic. So she will be able to perform paramedic duties by November 1st. So it could go back to the original, where 2 basics could help.
Okay,
with this-
because we're gonna have.
Because, yeah, so now we'll have, instead of 4 medics that were sustaining the department, we'll have 6, which will make a big difference of redundancy. And it'll also help on the per diem line to have the per diems cover less.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, it was the per diem one that wasn't allocated?
Not for the extra shifts. So it's about 100 hours they've been covering since July, which I'm hoping that goes down. October is looking promising for that to be down
And when you say 100 hours, is that bi-weekly or weekly?
by the month.
By the month,
By the
okay.
month.
Chief, just a quick question.
Yeah.
In your calculations, did you plan for the increase in pay for the employee going from basic to medic?
No, I did not.
Okay,
She was in a long process.
right, but I'm just asking, so will this be enough money to get you through to the end of the fiscal year? Or do you need to increase that a little bit more?
I would need to increase it a little bit to be safe. I would like to increase it a little bit more.
Okay.
So we'll have to figure out what that amount is then.
Yeah, I would, if you can get me that within,
I can get it to you tomorrow.
okay,
Yep.
all right. I'm just concerned that we want to take one bite of the apple.
Right. Exactly.
We don't want to be back with a half-eaten apple saying we need more of the apple.
Yes.
I will
Okay,
get that by tomorrow morning, what her pay rate would be.
okay. And then, did you plan for like the holidays and all that with the additional
Yes.
employees and things like that? Because
Yeah.
you're talking 2 basics, right? 2 additional basics. Are you hiring or?
No,
No?
I just went with what we have now to the end of the year. I didn't put 2 additional basics.
So end of the year, meaning July 1st.
First, yep. And I assumed that fiscal year 26, I would budget those 2 EMT basics into that budget.
As I'm looking at the EMS overtime, is that supposed to be 32,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Well, that's why I put it in for.
Yes, that's,
okay. I just want to make sure the comma just came at 2 zeros instead of 3. Okay.
I have missed you. I'll see you again.
So we've got full-time EMS overtime. Okay.
yes. And the wages for full-time,
Thank you.
once the provisional, so the provisional will go away. Right now, we have a provisional to help somewhat offset the overtime. Position will go away as soon as the injured on duty firefighter comes back. So I planned it out to January just to be safe, just in case something happened. But it, again, looks like November 1st or before that will happen.
So you're asking for additional revenue that's gonna count to January 1st for the person that's currently out? What you're saying?
Yes, because that's,
So if that person comes back November 1st, those extra funds, I guess, we wouldn't anticipate just to spend.
no. But with having to bump that new medic up, those funds would be used for that.
So something to look at, Bill, Chris, as well, so. But that's gonna be tough, because we don't know when that person may come back or may not come back, so. We're anticipating it.
Yeah, again, yes.
So the total is the 216, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 100.
At this point in time.
Okay.
It's 100,000 plus in each budget.
I just want to make sure that if this amount is increased to cover the difference in the positions, and then the town votes on it, and then this person comes back November 1st, well, there's money in this budget now that accounts for 2 months that doesn't need to be there. So I want to make sure that money's not spent on other things,
Mhm.
that the town is spending, giving the money based on the information that's being given at that time.
Mhm.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Any questions, Dave?
No.
So we're not hiring any new basics or anything?
No,
And we'll look at it again in fiscal year, the next fiscal.
26, yes.
It might be helpful too to have that as part of the handout as an explanation, because this is gonna raise a lot of questions, I'm sure, at town meeting. So just maybe a little explanation beforehand as well, so people can read a little bit of it, and then, that way, when the questions start coming, we can prepare again.
Never.
So do you mean you want the letter, Glenn, and this, like both together?
I think any of the information that
Yeah.
the chief is presenting, I think,
I can get a
that the
thing.
voters could have beforehand.
Yeah.
So the voters, the town, people, town residents, I think it would be beneficial. Before this comes up, gives them a chance to kind of read a little bit about the information and why the additional funds are being asked for.
I can do that and send it to Chris and then forward it to the board.
So good. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
All right, and Article 6, we already went through.
Yeah, that's just,
The
adopting the new, animal control bylaw. So, and what we're planning on doing is having all these documents, supporting the articles up on the website along with the, warrant and things of that nature, so people can go online to the, town website and be able to see all this instead of trying to absorb it all
in one night.
15 minutes before the meeting starts.
So it'll be helpful too that the information that chief provides is on the website as well.
Yes.
All right. So we are moving on to approve and sign architect contract for West Street Building.
Madam Chair, I don't know if you
yes, I'm sorry.
maybe want to address Mr. Randall.
Randall, you can come on up.
As the board knows, the Granby Firefighters Association had the dedication on the 7th of last month for the 9/11 memorial. And Mrs. Dufresne spoke eloquently, I might add. So on behalf of the Firefighters Association, Mrs. Dufresne, I would like to present you with a letter of our thanks.
Oh. Thank you very much. Very pretty.
It's us that we thank you.
Thank you very much. You guys did a great job. It was a beautiful ceremony.
Still in progress.
Yes, sir.
All right. So approve and sign architect contract for West Street Building.
Yes,
That was our nice thick packet, Chris. Thank you.
yes, it was.
All right. So did we have the lawyer look over this?
Yes.
The town council? Okay.
Yes.
So no suggestions, nothing, we're good to go?
He made a couple that I just incorporated. One was when we were talking about going to court, we mentioned court in Massachusetts. He wanted to be serving Hampshire County because he doesn't want to have to go to Boston for any type of legal proceedings. He'd rather have it be done here in Hampshire County.
Okay.
Fair enough.
The price that was quoted to us was within budget of what we had planned for designer fees. The issue is we're looking at now, the project probably being completed now in December of 2025 due to the fact of the delays that we had encountered at the beginning of the project when we didn't get a set of bids for the first round of the OPM. We had to wait for the tank to come out because we didn't want to keep going forward and spending money if when the tank came out there was leakage that we were going to have to deal with. So that was a 2-month delay. The OPM, we had to advertise, like I said, 2 times. That delayed it probably another 4 to 6 weeks to get that going. And right now, everything seems to be moving right along. And hopefully, like I said, the project will be completed by December of 2025.
So with that in mind, I know it's kind of a separate issue from here, how long do we have the town annex?
June 30th of 2025.
So from June to December, we would have to move or relocate unless she's
Or,
willing to
or
extend it.
see if she's willing to give a 6-month extension on the lease. Yes.
Yes, why won't we ask, 2 things, either ask for a year extension or 6 months extension with an option for another 6 months? Because we know that construction delays and things like that are gonna happen. We've already seen it happen.
But she wants to sell, right? She doesn't want anything to do with the building anymore.
Part of the problem, yeah. Part of the problem is I think she wants to be done with the building by the end of 2025, no matter what. I believe her lease with the GoNet Speed, that lease for that building expires December of 25. So she probably only granted us a 6-month extension, Glenn, to be honest with you.
I understand, but there's no reason.
We can ask, but I don't think that it'll be a 6-month with a 6-month option for another 6 months. Just from talking with her about her plans for the building and moving forward. I think she wants to divest herself of some of the real estate.
But would it be beneficial for the town to just buy the building from her and then sell it later after we have everything, or is it something that we can't afford?
I would say no.
Okay. Chief, yeah.
Yeah, we did have, I was part of the subcommittee interviewing the architects or the designers, and we told them we may run into an issue like this. So we kind of put them on notice that we may have to move the offices and tell specifically which offices we need to get out of the
Okay.
annex by December, and I think they could work around that.
Okay.
So I think that 6 months hopefully would be enough, and like I said, as we know the pressure's coming, we can say, look, we've got to get these people over here.
Yeah. Focus on these 3 rooms first and then.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, technically, you can move in there now if they wanted to.
Yes.
So,
But I wouldn't because part of the project is asbestos removal.
Yeah.
but I'm trying to make it comes down to we can, if need be, if we have to move out of the annex building, we have the option to move in there.
Yes.
So the OPM oversees the designer.
Correct.
Or, okay. That's why I was just making sure I have
Nope, that's okay.
the tier.
It's us, the town of Granby,
Yeah,
then it's the OPM, then it's the designer, and then it's all the contractors and subcontractors.
okay. Which the designer and the OPM will secure for us based off, like. the
We will
research
put
you've
out
done.
another bid packet
Okay,
for contractors and subcontractors for the various disciples that we need to have be done in there. And even in that contract, we're moving it along a little faster, because normally when you get to 30% of design phase, you stop and you look at what you're putting in for the equipment. We're gonna bypass that and go to 60%, so that we're not delaying even more to try and do this. We're trying to get it as fast tracked as fast as we can, so we can get it out to bid. Ideally, it would be nice to get it out to bid no later probably than January or February, because at that point, the contractors are sitting home, it's winter, they don't have much on their plate. If we can get in front of that bell curve, we can probably get better prices than if we're in there in the mix when everybody's out there bidding for projects.
RFQs for, request for quote? Or was the Q?
Requests for qualifications. And when the bid went out, we had received 3 responses, and the subcommittee for the West Street Building Committee did interview all 3 of the respondents and ranked them accordingly, and then I started negotiating with the highest ranked firm, which was EDM. And as I said, their price came in within budget. The contract was fairly easy to negotiate with them, and town council has reviewed it and has no issues.
And then the other ones that you have attached here were the other people that you spoke with,
Nope.
right?
Nope, they are what happens is as part of the bid process, those are subcontractors he will use, engineering firms and things of that nature. So he has to provide what their hourly rates are, just in case there's something else that we're gonna require that wasn't part of the bid packet. So we know what the hourly rate would be if that work has to be done. Those are basically subcontractors under the designer contract.
That's you.
Yes, a lot of legalese in there.
I know. I don't have any questions besides what I've already asked.
Yeah, I mean, the town council's looked it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, no questions regards to concerns.
Yeah, one of my concerns would be, equipment. So, being with the school department in Chicopee, we've had a couple of projects that have been delayed by months because equipment was supposed to arrive and hasn't arrived. So I think that's something that we really need to stay in front of once they are in place. Things need to be like ordered and shipped immediately if we can get them, because that will delay the project. Chief?
Big comment was electrical switching, which is like the main components.
That's
We did have a conversation with them and asked about possibly, once we know what the building needs, if the town can put it out ourselves and order it to get it coming faster while we're waiting for everything else to progress, once we get the okay to go.
Right.
And, the OPM and the designer.
Agreed, yeah. Also, HVAC equipment is another one that we had a lot of problems with delays, so.
Right, so with that, if there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to accept the designer services agreement for the town of Granby for the new municipal office project renovation at the old West Street School.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So, you want to sign first and then we'll pass it down the line.
Sure.
Yep, so I think we're signing right there, yeah.
Authority.
Thank you. There's two, yeah. Oh, it's locked, okay. You should have a little tab on it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
The right one.
on the page. So, there it is.
Thank you. All right, so next is to discuss the interim town administrator job description and ad. So she's got a copy of each in here. You got one too though, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for the job posting, all the stuff that we wanted changed were changed with the range and everything. And then all of them are to go to Kathy. And I thought we had talked about a rolling submission, but we did set November 1st, because I have November 1st and then I have a rolling submission.
Yes.
So if we don't get anyone by November 1st, then it becomes a rolling submission, or how would that work?
November 1st is the original deadline.
Okay.
However, if you are in the process of still going through and trying to do it, you'll continue to accept them.
Okay.
Okay. I would continue to accept them until the search committee has finalized their charge, and then it is in front of the Board of Selectmen at that point.
But would you change anything on the ad though, or on the
No.
posting? Yeah.
No.
But I think we need a stop date.
Which we had November 1st.
That's it, so they can. Are you saying that, so November first is the end date, but they'd start the process before as they're coming in? Start interviewing people? Or start,
No, November 1st would be the date that we would hand all the applications received to the search committee.
right, so that's the cutoff date, there's no after that, that's it.
Well, if there's no good candidates by November 1st, a lot of the ads are now out there saying open until filled, okay, for applications. That's the issue that you're running into because there's not a lot of qualified people out there. And actually, we're going to be bumping up against a few other towns that are out there looking for applications. I just got an ad in for Tisbury. They're looking for a town administrator. Hadley is looking for a town administrator. There's a lot of them out there, a lot of towns out there looking for administrators at this point in time.
Well, I would think if November first comes and we don't have a suitable person to consider at that point, then we just repost the position. I just want to keep on going and going and going, because at what point do we stop and say, okay, we gotta make a decision here?
Well, I think what Chris is saying, so we could do accepted through November 1st, and then put like something after it that says or until filled. Like we want the applications by November 1st, and that's when the search committee is going to start reviewing them. But if we don't get good applicants, we're not closing the posting, we're keeping it open until.
I get that, if you have a large company and you're looking to fill a spot and you have people doing that, people can do that job
Yeah.
until someone else comes in.
But we don't, yeah.
But we don't at this point in time. But my concern is that, okay, so November 1st is the cutoff date.
Yep.
So what if you get applications on November 5th and 6th, 7th? Do you turn it over to the search committee and say, okay, review these two?
Right.
Why have a date? That should be the cutoff date, and if at that time everything is reviewed and we see that no one meets the requirements, then okay, then we can go back out for it again.
I think what Chris was trying to do was save on time, because if you keep it open, then if they're still applying and you didn't find anyone that was qualified in the first round, well, now you still have the application in front of you to review and send to the search committee. So I think it was just saving time that way. But I also hear what you're saying too. You're setting a deadline. You're expecting the committee, who's a big group of 12, 13 people, to come together to review all of this. You don't want to keep adding dates onto it.
And to Chris's point, there are other towns that are looking, so we gotta set a date, this is it. So if you have people that are interested in it, we could start our process and hire
To
someone.
get them through.
So do you guys just want to leave November 1st there? And then, like you said, if we don't get applicants by then, we repost it?
That's what I like
I
to
think
think.
so. Makes sense.
It gives us a hard line, and the people that are applying for a position, they know that there's a closed date for accepting applications. So then we can move forward with that at that time. You know, other towns are looking at it, they're doing, I'll go hit it, I'll
I'll
go
try the
here,
other
I'll go
towns.
here, I'll go here.
Yeah, they're gonna,
So, which, you know, it's all right, that's what people do, which is fine, but in this part, we're looking to fill the position with the most qualified person in the quickest time.
I'm okay with that.
so we'll leave it as November 1st then.
And the next thing, are we move on to the other one, are we looking at both of them, just one of them at a time?
Do you want to, Chris, are we all set with the posting? So everything that was changed is good? And we'll keep it November 1st. And I think you said you were going to run the ad 2 times in each paper. So the MMA website, the town website, Worcester Telegram, Boston Globe, and Berkshire Eagle. And then we'll run them
Indeed.
2 times each. So is it a post every week? Is that what you mean by 2 times each? Or are they a couple weeks offset from each other? Because we're already,
Well, I'd like to see if we can get it in for the 12th
Okay,
and then the 26th.
okay. That still gives them plenty of time to answer the ad by November 1st, so. Was there any other places you guys thought of for the posting? I think that's what we brainstormed the
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah, you had Indeed on that list too?
No,
Let's talk
because
about
it's, even if they're not qualified, you pay 75 per.
that. Oh,
applicant.
so we omitted that.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
So yes, good. Now we're on the next one.
Okay.
Is the interim?
So the rate is set at, well, not set, but is being considered $75 an hour. If you take the $75 an hour, that exceeds what we're gonna pay someone for a full-time position. I think if we're gonna pay someone part-time, it should be within the range that we're posting or advertising the full-time position.
So, let's do. So what would you suggest for rate, Lynn? Because $75 an hour puts it at 156 for the year.
Right.
So what would you propose to offer them? And Chris, was that the going rate? Is that why you put the 75?
That came from Eric.
Oh, Eric Wise. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the going rate, then we're not gonna find anybody for,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I'm wondering if
Right.
that is the going rate.
that's not the going rate. I mean,
And Chris, you did find out that we do have to post an intro?
Yes.
Okay.
Because even for the 12 weeks at the price of 75 at 20 hours a week, it's like $30,000. And that,
For 12 weeks.
it's not part of our, that's not in our budget.
well, would be in the town administrator salary line item that you could transfer to a contracted services line
But
item.
that doesn't cover it.
Right, so it's already more than, the rate's already more than what's being paid now.
Oh, yes, that's 100%, you're 100% correct.
The whatever's left's not gonna cover that.
You're 100% correct.
And I guess I also think, like, Chris, you spent a lot of time here. How are we going to get an interim town administrator in here to do the same job for 20 hours?
You're not.
That's what I'm saying. So we're not gonna have people in here to do your job for the other 20.
Mhm.
So why aren't we posting it for full-time interim? Again, this didn't come from you. This was from Eric, right?
The only thing I can divine from Eric's conversation and what he sent,
Yeah.
there is probably somebody out there who he contacted and said, I do it for $75 an hour, 20 hours a week. But he didn't say exactly what he would be doing. Just guiding the ship, that's all he'd be doing.
And I think someone that we'll probably end up with is someone that was a town administrator or a town manager that has retired that says, hey, I'll go work for 20 hours a week. I'm not working 40 hours a week. That's why I retired.
Do full-time.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think $60 an hour is fair. It puts us right in the middle of our salary range.
Yeah.
And that's more than what I'm making right now.
It's kind of close though.
Couple dollars more now.
But you guys still only want to post it for 20 hours?
I don't think you're
Like,
gonna.
we're a part-time board, guys.
No, I understand that, but I think it's difficult to find someone that's gonna come in for 40 hours a week.
What if we say 20 to 40, so that way if they're willing to work more than 20?
No,
We have somebody
I'm
here.
fine with that.
Okay.
And maybe you get someone that comes in part-time and there'll be, someone I would consider to be full-time.
Are you going to allow the interim to apply for the full-time?
I think I wouldn't, if we're gonna say from 20 to 40 hours a week, I'd say yes. Because if someone's gonna say, hey, I'll come in, it's almost like a trial basis for them.
Okay.
That's willing to work.
Yeah, because the 12 weeks would be the 3 months.
I mean, I don't know if the board would even, I want to consider it, because I know the board would. And I don't know if Mr. Martin's even open to it, but I brought this up some time ago. And he kind of made a mention, Crystal, as far as he does it for 40 hours a week now, how are we gonna find someone that can
Yeah.
do that kind of work, so. I would ask the board if they would consider, again, I don't know if Mr. Martin even available to do so, but ask him to stay on as the interim person for, to be hired someone full-time, or to that time period of 12 weeks. But it's just very confident that Mr. Martin is able to do a lot of things that he can do in 20 weeks. And I'm also confident that he'll probably work more than 20 hours a week, but only be billed 20 hours a week, because that's what he does now. And I know that for a fact. So, again, it's something for us to consider, and Mr. Martin may not be open to it. Retirement.
Well, not only that, I also don't want to hurt, like, he has till October 31st, right? And then anything after that, you're maxed out at a certain amount, right? Or is that, yeah.
That's up to
think
him,
so,
but that's
yeah.
up to him if he wants to make that decision. And I do say that also with the understanding that his last day is October 31st.
Yeah.
This is gonna be there till October 14th. Gives us 2 weeks to put someone in place, which is gonna be very difficult.
Yeah.
So if anything, you consider keeping him on till we actually have an interim. Cause this next 3 weeks are gonna go by quick.
Yeah, they will.
Yes, and we have a town meeting in between also, so. I will consider that. We did, bring it up in discussion. Again, it's not really up to us. It would be great if you could.
Are you saying we can't make him stay?
I think I'm pretty much saying we can't make them stay. I don't think we can chain them to the wall, so.
But those are just some of the things that I'm thinking of, because I want to make sure we're doing our best to, protect the town, because it's a big void, and I know we have Kathy here as well, but it's only so long that one person can keep on doing the things that need to be done. At the same time, we're in a position looking for an accountant. So,
Right.
All right, so for this ad, we'll change it to 20 to 40 hours per week at a $60 an hour rate. And so now it comes down to, Chris, how are we gonna pay for this? So you said the town administrator budget, but,
it's close to that. Well,
Yeah.
here's my thing too with that, is that, the 20, well, if it's an interim position, so we don't have to give the benefits, right? As far as retirement. If it's a start date and a finish date for an interim position. And it's part-time, would they pay into retirement? We'd have to offer insurance, we'd have to, because we're saying this isn't a permanent job. We're hiring you as a temp, pretty much.
Yes, sure.
A temp is considered 90 days or less though, right? Excuse me for interrupting.
Well, 12
Well,
weeks.
that's 12
12 weeks is
Oh,
about 90 days,
Right, right,
is about 90 days.
right. So we can't let it go past the 90 days.
Yep. All right, let me ask this question. If I agree to be the interim, inclement weather, do I get to not come in? Work from home or do whatever?
Yes, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I know you do stuff from home now, but you don't
Yep.
get paid for it.
As long as it's a sunset clause of 12 weeks, up to 20 hours a week. At my current pay.
Which is already in the budget, I suppose, right?
At the current pay,
It's
yes.
definitely in the budget.
What does it mean by sunset clause?
12 weeks.
The 12 weeks.
12 weeks, 12 weeks, done. Okay.
90 days.
I
Do
just
we
think,
still, but do we have to post it or no, because you're already our TA and we're asking you to fill it as interim? So we don't have to post it now. Okay.
I just think that makes the most sense for us.
Yes,
And
but
then-
I am also worried about Chris too, because he did want to take, you're okay with this? Because you did want to take this, Chris.
Again, to help the town. Again, it's to help the town. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, you bring in an interim and they're only gonna do the basics. Kathy can't take on any more work.
And I also like the thought process is that, when we do hire a full-time, town administrator, we have the person that's actually right now doing the job that can intertwine with them at that point in time too, because I think that's important, because it's almost like having the handoff from one person to another.
Mhm.
And
Agreed.
you can't really, if that is at a level at this position, I think that's so important. Because if not, I think so many things will get missed. And you'll find out later on when you don't want to find out they were missed. So if that's the case, we'd have to drop a contract or something with Mr. Martin.
I feel bad now. You're not going to be able to say October 31st is coming soon. I'm not going to be able to say that now. "90 days later, there'll be light at the end of the tunnel." All right.
Well, it's a good transition to retirement. You cut back a little bit and then you leave.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we've got no more than 20 hours for 12 weeks, no more, at your hourly rate or your current rate. Do we need a motion, Chris, for that? We do?
I will make a motion to accept Chris Martin as our interim,
Appoint.
appoint Chris Martin as our interim town administrator for a period of 12 weeks,
Commencing November
on
1,
November 1st,
2024.
for no more than 20 hours a week.
At his current rate.
Sorry,
At his current rate.
at his current rate, yes.
Well, we'll put that all together and you have to sign.
We'll have to put it on paper, right?
Contract.
So we're entering a negotiation for that contract, or we're just signing that exactly what he said?
We
The
can't
contract
put
would-
something together that states what the agreement between us and him is. So. I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
No further discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome back, Chris.
So that, I know we've got a little wait for it, but I feel like this is just the perfect time to talk about the town accountant position. If the board, if doesn't mind if I skip out of turn for a minute.
Not at all.
Okay. So, and I don't even know if Mr. Martin's gonna be willing to this because Glenn already got him for the town administrator, but I was going to suggest that, that the board allow Mr. Martin to stay on as the town accountant. He knows the job. The first gentleman that we had wanted to give, or could only give us 5 years. The first 3 years, it takes 3 years to get certified as a town accountant, and then he would only give us 2 years after that. So I feel like that's not a lot of time, and as far as the town goes, for the amount of time that we're gonna put in for training purposes and such. And I think it would only make sense to have Mr. Martin as our town accountant until we can fill the position. And he, when I spoke with him, he was willing to stay on part-time, but now that you added the town administrator, I'm not sure how this is gonna go right now. So he enjoys doing the money and not having to deal with the other stuff. And now we've got him for the town administrator interim position.
Well,
He's a CPA, he's a town accountant. He
No, I'm not a
knows-
CPA.
No CPA? Okay.
No, I'm not a CPA.
Okay.
Never sat for the exam.
I guess my part here is that, again, you'd have to look at someone to do another 10 to 20 hours for, well, probably 10 hours at least for the comp position. So that gets them back up to the 30 hours. And, you know, if Mr. Martin's willing to do something like that, I don't have an issue with that. But also I know that one of the candidates that we had, I think was a good candidate. I think he's an accountant. He's worked for several different firms. He's handled large budgets. And I guess, you know, 5 years is a long time. And that's not to say he doesn't stay longer than 5 years. I mean, I might have looked at that. We could hire someone that could leave in 6 months or a year. There's no telling how long an employee's gonna stay. Sure. They can leave wherever they wanna leave. But I do want the board to consider, if we have an opportunity to hire someone in that position, instead of kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
Because what happens in 3 months, we don't have anybody still. And an opportunity where if Mr. Martin is still here in the capacity of the interim town administrator, someone, you know, with whoever that comes in as the town accountant can ask questions. He's here. He's very knowledgeable in that area.
So we would look to fill that position by
I would
first.
look to fill it. I mean, that's just where I am right now. You know, if Mr. Martin's open to the, you know, that part of it, I would consider it. But I just think if the town feels we have someone that is capable of doing that job, that position, and then I would say that we look at moving forward. If the board feels that no, that's not the person, I don't think they're capable of doing that position to the point that we want, then I'd say fine, then consider other options.
I do think it would be very difficult to try and have 2 interims and then still continue to look for somebody to fill that position down the road.
I guess what I was thinking was, if Mr. Martin was willing to do it, he could stay on as town accountant even after the interim. So, which would be, it would only take him 6 to 10 hours a week, whereas the new person's gonna take at least 20. Because they don't know the UMIS system, they don't know the software, they don't know how to work any of that. So even if Mr. Martin stayed on as our interim town administrator, that's his job for the 20 hours. So then we would have to pay him separate to train the accountant to use the UMIS system because he's giving us 20 hours as the town administrator. So we'd still be paying him anyways to train the other one to use the UMIS system. I don't think that's fair to put two duties on him and only pay him for one.
He's our employee.
Yes, I understand that, but if you look at the town administrator, that's not his duty. His duty is not town accountant. Those jobs have to be separated.
But if he has the knowledge to give someone, and I don't think that's outside us asking a town employee to do that. That's,
But we're already gonna be 20 hours down from the interim, from a town administrator to an interim town administrator is what I'm saying. So the 20 hours that he is giving us, he's gonna be putting in a lot of time just trying to keep everything as status quo. So then we're gonna ask him to take away from those 20 hours to train someone, which some people will take longer to train than others. I think it's unfair for not only the staff here, but I think it's also unfair for the town. And for Mr. Martin to ask him to do that in 20 hours a week. I don't know, those are my thoughts. I think it's gonna pull him in many directions within the little bit of time that we have him here for that.
again, if the person that, who he's a licensed accountant, the gentleman we interviewed,
James Quirk.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
if he's not, and again, if he's not, we don't feel is capable of, not as capable, but if he's not what we're looking for to hire, doesn't meet our requirements, then I'm okay. Would say, let's look at something different. But again, if it's someone that meets the requirements that we need, and we feel that that person is able to work in that position,
Yeah.
that's something we have to consider, you know? That's
Well, and
what
I
I'm
think
saying.
he's capable of it, absolutely, like you're saying, he's definitely qualified, but he's gonna need training, and I just don't know if Mr. Martin
Well, I
has
would've-
the time to do that training, I guess.
I wouldn't be against paying Mr. Martin additional to train someone. I'm just saying, at what point do we stop?
Yeah,
You know, we gotta hire somebody. You know, if Mr. Martin wants to stay on for a short period of time,
and help,
and help with that, that's fine. Again, I go back to it, it's an important position. It helps with the transition from one person to another person. But again, I mean, we haven't even asked him if he wants to do any of this, besides the interim town administrator, so I don't know if he's open to it. I'd still consider it, but also, like I said, I just wanna make sure we're sitting here having a conversation a year from now.
still
Yeah, we
looking
can
for a
do that.
town accountant.
But again, then I look at, as far as a budget piece, if we're saying that Mr. Martin can do the town accountant position in 6 to 10 hours, then it makes a lot more sense to have him do it than pay someone for 20 hours a week.
Right.
I would agree with that.
And pay for Mr. Martin to train him as well.
Well, but it goes back to,
Yeah.
it goes back to what stage are we at? What do we want to accomplish now?
Yeah.
Do we want to accomplish having someone here and that we, you know, again, Mr. Martin could be doing this for 5 years down the road. We could be doing it for 6 months. I don't know. It's the same thing with any employee you hire.
Yeah.
You don't know when,
Much time
how much time they're gonna be here. They may decide to do something different. But again, if we're looking at as far as, you're saying 6 to 10 hours, from a financial standpoint, I would say, well, that makes sense to have someone here 6 to 10 hours and pay them for that rate versus paying someone for 20 hours to do the same job. It just makes sense. If you're saving half the amount of money to do that. But at some point, when do we, do we say that, Mr. Martin, do you have I guess what I'm saying at some point is that I'd have to have an agreement with Mr. Martin after the 12 weeks were up with the interim town administrator that he's willing to stay on for X amount of time. There's some type of commitment. Because if there's not, it's hard for me to move forward with the pieces at town accountant. I mean,
As the accountant, yes.
that's why I get worried they were just kind of delaying what's gonna happen. But if you have a conversation with Mr. Martin, says, Joel, I'd like to do that, and yes, I will commit, another year or two with you, or longer, as doing that part-time, then I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with that. Because I know there's someone that's gonna be there down the road. Five, 10 years? I would say at least a year. I think that's fair for us to feel comfortable with that.
Then,
Ask for a year, and if we fill a position in the meantime, he could then move on if he chose. Or ask for a solid
I
year,
want a solid year.
solid year.
And I think if we're get to where it's the last 3 months when I would ask for at least a 3-month window because it's time to hire somebody. Because all we're doing right now is putting ourselves in. And knowing Mr. Marr, I don't think he would do this just based on the conversation we just had with him. Why he's doing what he's doing is for the town. It's not about him. And I know that just from conversations that I've had with him. So we need to make sure to protect the town that at some point there's a handoff to another position, another person.
I agree with that. So in the meantime, we continue to take applicants, look for applicants, or do we just go with Mr. Martin for 9 more months into that year and then try to put an accountant in place at that point?
Well, it goes back to my original, if we're saying that we don't have someone that we feel is able to do the job right now, then that's
Okay.
different. Again, but someone that's gonna work 5 or 6 to 10 hours, you said, Crystal, versus someone that's gonna work 20 hours.
Mhm.
And I'm sure a lot of this, sure a lot of this town accountant stuff he can do from home. I know he does a lot of it now from home. So, he might be,
I guess to go off of what you were just saying too, Glenn, if Mr. Martin's gonna give us a year, then we're gonna be facing the same thing in a year. So we have to look at the applicants now. Do we find that any of the applicants that we have can do the job? We know that they all are gonna need training. So if we're back here in a year, do we start the training now when we have Mr. Martin available to help train? Because in a year from now, is he gonna wanna do the training? Maybe not. But he might be willing to do it now. So that's the other piece that you were discussing too.
I think our responsibility is to make sure we don't set the town up for failure.
Agreed, yes. But we also have to consider that he is trying to retire, so we can't.
Well, that's,
Right.
again, this is up to him.
Yes,
To us.
correct, yep.
But at this point in time, we're looking at what we feel is best for the town. That's what we're looking at as the board. Some of those equations have Mr. Martin as part of it. So if he's willing to say he wants to do that, that's things that we can look at and we kind of come together. But if he says, hey, I can stick around for 6 months, I mean, that might be for us to say if we feel that we have someone that is able to do the job now, to hire someone, great. And we have someone that can train for 6 months. I don't have a problem, paying Mr. Martin to train someone. Absolutely not,
Right.
because I think it's an important job as the accountant or town administrator, either or, is to make sure they have a proper handoff.
Again, whatever you feel is best for the town. Again, I have to say it that way. Okay? Yes. Would it be nice to continue? Yes, it would. However, if you feel you want to go with Mr. Quirk, that's fine with me also. But if you look at the jobs, his work history, he wasn't in any fund accounting type of positions. And this is what this is. This is more like for a hospital. They have certain grants that they get. They spend out of those buckets of money. We don't have a big pot that we take handfuls of. We have multiple pots. I'm gonna go back to when I was young. You'd have the envelope for rent, you have the envelope for utilities, you have the envelope for groceries, and whatever else you had after that was spending money. It's the same idea, only on a larger basis when you get to this level. You can only take out of each pot. You can't commingle and then say at the end of the year, well, I've got this much left, so I'll throw a little bit here, a little bit here. No, you can't. You have to follow the rules and regs all the way through. Now, can anybody learn it? Yeah. Give them enough time. Yes, they can learn it. But if I am just going to be the town administrator, once I'm done training, I don't do any accounting. And it's up to him to do it. You know, it can't be that I'm going to be there to answer his questions for a year and a half. If it's 3 months, 6 months to get his feet wet, to show him the software, to show him the human system, you know.
Chris, how long would you stay as a town accountant? With say 10 hours a week?
As Crystal says, I love numbers. I am a numbers person, you've seen. You know, how many times has Crystal asked me about a payment to a vendor? I say, give me the dollar amount, and I know it off the top of my head by the dollar amount. I'm a numbers person.
So 5-10 years is a good
Yeah,
number.
could be. Could be. Again, I'm looking at my own age factor. You know, I'm gonna be 70. Given 10 years, that's age 80. You know?
You know, Chris, and I say this, and again, speaking to the board, is that our responsibility is to the town to make the best decision that we feel with the information that we have at hand. Like I said, yeah, either way, and like I said, if we're looking to bring someone else, to hire somebody else at 20 hours a week, but we know that Mr. Mark can do it in 6 to 10 hours a week, I struggle with that math. Paying someone, twice as much to do a job that we,
It's common sense.
but Mr. Martin has the ability, the knowledge, and the experience is why something like that takes him 6 to 10 hours a week versus someone else that takes him 20 hours a week. And with that said, I mean, 3 years down the road, I'm sure the person that came in at 20 hours a week is not going to want to cut their hours down to 10 hours.
No.
Correct.
But either way, that's going to happen, and I guess, we could prolong this a little bit longer. And maybe we have the right candidate that comes along that's only going to need to do it 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week. It meets that more of that time frame. Maybe we, at some point, Mr. Martin says, okay, really, I'm ready to, I've had enough, I'm done. Maybe we find someone else at the town accountant for a city or town that now wants a part-time piece as well. Because again, if it's a position saying that takes 6 to 10 hours a week from a person that's experienced and understands how it works as far as the accountant piece for a town or a municipality, then that's, again, I don't see how we can pay someone 20 hours a week. 2 years down the road after all, now they're qualified. Does that job need 20 hours?
And you would still hold the office hours for the department heads too?
I just think it's somehow too, if we enter into something like this, there's gotta be some type of agreement as far as time. I know what, as the interim, town administrator, we have a window, we know there's 90 days there for us to work with. You know. So if Mrs. Martin says, hey, you know what? I can do a year. Or I can do 16 months or something. They feel comfortable saying, I can stay on until this time. It does give us additional time to find someone.
That might know the system and
Yeah.
certified.
That we get, I guess we get exactly what we're looking for. And instead of bringing someone in and training them and then sending them to the, to be qualified and go from there. Do you look at someone that's already qualified for it?
I would be willing for a time frame to give you to June 30th of 2026.
Which gives us a year and a half.
That's
A little
fine.
over a year and a half.
Yeah,
And it gives us to.
it's really a year and 9 months when you
Yeah.
think about it from his
It's
official
already
date.
October.
And then knowing that, unless for unforeseen reason, the board can look at, December 2025 to start looking at bringing someone aboard. And then we can always have this tomorrow be part of that, again, transition period as well. If need be, or we
Yeah.
just wait 3 months or something like that. But I think it's important to have some type of transition period. And we allow our, we could get to that point. I think first of all, you gotta agree on
Yeah.
that seems what this board wants to do for the town.
Well, I agree, we have to do what's best for the town. And if Mr. Merton is willing to step up to the plate for that, until we can fill that position, I am open to it.
Chris, would it be the same contract it is now with you for the town accountant?
I don't have a contract for town accountant.
I thought it was. We just paid an extra fee for it? Okay.
Actually, I think it's written inside my town administrator contract that I perform the services of the town accountant.
Okay. So we would need a separate agreement for that, like you were saying, because we'd be separating them. All right, so does the board need time to think about it, given what Mr. Martin has just told us, or do you guys want to make a motion to enter into agreement for the town accountant until June 30th, 2026 with Mr. Martin?
I'm fine with that. That's very reasonable as far as the time frame for commitment.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to allow Mr. Martin to act as our town accountant through June 30th of 2026.
We're entering into agreement.
Right.
Enter into an agreement
Yeah.
with Chris Martin until June 30th of 2026 for the town accountant position.
Well, we have to put something together because it's gonna be a contracted
Employee.
employee. So we'll have to come up with a contract, state everything in there. The hours, the wage.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can say 6 to 10 hours. I think we need to say, certainly. Or you just miss his hours. But we can talk about that after. We need some,
But we're just entering an agreement, right?
yes.
Which was the motion, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to just do that one more time, please? So it's clear.
I will make a motion to enter into agreement with Chris Martin for the town accountant position for a period from now until a period from November 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2026.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
No discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, hang on, had some discussion.
Oh, yes, discussion.
Before we move forward with both of these, is that we have town council say, yes, you can do that, we're fine with that, that's fine. And then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, great.
In that case, aye.
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 Town council's right here, so.
I know it's,
But he's gonna read the agreements too, that we make, right? So he'll weigh in after the agreements.
I'll meet with the interim candidate, I'm sure we'll be able to come to some sort of understanding.
Okay. All right, sorry, we went out of order. We have discussion of the personal about board evaluation instrument. Did everyone get a chance to review that? Anything you guys want to add to it? That was the one that they dug up from years ago, right, Kathy?
Yes, this is from the personnel board. And I would assume that if you have any changes or anything, we have to go to the personnel, go to a personnel board meeting,
Okay.
discuss it.
I guess, what I would think too, that we'd have each department head. We have the chief, the fire chief, the police chief, Dave Droscher. I think their evaluation should reflect the position that individual holds in their department. I think something like this might be good for us to do evaluations on the people that we oversee. Fire chief, the police chief, the town administrator, highway department, superintendent.
The town administrator does the department heads. He does the evaluation for the department heads. We just do the town administrator. Which we have that performance evaluation because we couldn't find this one. So this is really for the department heads to use for their, and for the TA to use for the department heads. I see what you're saying, to have it specific to the duties of that job.
Like a police officer should have, something that specifies this for their performance, their quality, what they're doing.
Yeah, so this one just looks like they set goals for themselves. And then mid-year progress, the department head will look over, did they meet their goal? Are they ahead of schedule, on schedule, behind schedule, their initials?
Yeah.
And then comments for that goal.
I believe that one for anybody that was, under,
Okay.
which is not union, I'm assuming.
Okay.
Correct.
So these are for all non-union contracts?
Contracts, contracts, any evaluation have to be approved by the,
Personnel board, they all do personnel.
but the union's gotta see if we're gonna start evaluating, they need to be notified, they have to agree to it. I think Lee's here generally enough to speak as far as, department heads. But again, we can tweak it too.
I'm sorry. So-
We could tweak it a little bit
I
too.
was gonna say, we make it a little more
Yeah.
specific to
Yeah,
their job description?
So then each department head would have their own performance review? If we make it specific for the duties of that job, or can we just put something in there that says, are they doing all that's expected of them or something like that in their duties, because that's outlined in their contract. So we don't have to really restate their contract. We just have to have the town administrator sign off on how they're doing as far as their duties go.
I guess I looked at like some of that where it says accomplished.
Yeah.
Not accomplished, but put that really.
Yeah. Or ahead of schedule, on schedule, behind
Yeah.
schedule, you have,
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
So every year you would have to come up with new goals. I don't know.
but I think we should have to put that. If you're looking at job performance evaluation, we should have a certain criteria for each part where they can be rated on that. And then you can put in comments after the fact,
Which is what I liked about the one that we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
But that was specific for the administrator, so we would work with the town administrator, come up with one for each department head.
it could be the same for all of them, but a little different, but
Yeah, just
A lot of
tweak them
people say,
according
yeah.
to what they're doing in their respective fields.
So really, we would only have police chief, fire chief, highway superintendent, maintenance,
Building commissioner.
building commissioner. The lieutenant, the chief would do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Those are all, and Kathy, town administrative assistant, but that would fall under the TA as well. So,
Yeah.
oh, and COA director. Okay. So do we then look at each individual contract and then tailor one towards that job?
Or look at the job description that is on file for each of those positions.
Okay.
Use this as a boilerplate and then
Yeah.
add more into it
Probably did
per
before.
position.
Yeah. So do we want to tackle one at a time instead of doing all of them at once, or do you, or maybe you tackle two, you get your suggestions, I tackle two, I put my suggestions, or,
Well, again, I think they should be very similar. Yeah, because these are all leadership
well,
positions. So, does the employee meet fully with his responsibilities and duties? You either have yes or no, or, maybe, superior, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, or something like that. Being in agreement with that person at that level. Those are some of the questions that I would think would run on at that level as far as. And then we give examples. I don't think we need 30 different things. I mean, we could probably have maybe 12 different categories. And
and then just list the duties that are specific for that leadership role, is what you're asking, to make it specific for it. So, like you said, the overall question, have they, do they meet, I don't know what I'm saying right now about that, let me think about it. Do they meet the duties, or have they done everything that's expected of them, and then have a list of what they were supposed to do, and then rate them?
Yeah.
Okay,
like I said, we don't have to recreate the wheel.
Yeah.
There's ones out there we can pull from and kind of take what that is and good questions.
so are we taking the one that we already had for the town administrator, just tweaking it for each individual one? That one was pretty standard too,
Yeah.
in the duties that I was looking at, and the expectations.
I think, yeah, the town improvement factor we did was good.
Okay. So do you guys want to put that on the, well, next meeting is the, special town meeting. So we'll put it on for the following meeting after that in November?
Yes.
November 7th, 4th? Thank you. So Kathy can share the one that we made for the TA position to the board members, if you don't mind, Kathy. And then is there a specific one that you guys want to add to the duties for the police chief, fire chief, COA director, and highway superintendent, so that we're all not doing all 5 of them separately, and we can just,
I think we should do them together.
So bring everything here and just do it
Yeah.
in the meeting?
Or we can even have a separate meeting so we can sit down, and talk about it and put things together.
With ideas.
Yeah, we can do that.
And building. So we have 6, Chris, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice, that sounds good.
Yeah, like, you know,
Yes.
Yeah, and we got police chief, fire chief, COA director, highway superintendent, maintenance supervisor, and building.
it's in all their contracts now, evaluation, right?
It says that they'll be evaluated twice a year.
So I would suggest that we put all that together. At the time, you'll probably be the interim town administrator. We have something on the file before he leaves for all the department heads for the new person coming in.
And once we've made them, he can share them out to the department heads.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so next one on the agenda, it's the DCR announcement. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, acting through its Department of Conservation and Recreation, has under consideration the acquisition of 2 abutting parcels of land under separate ownerships. One parcel is 15 acres, DCR file number P-001071, and the other is 14 acres, DCR file number P-001076, both located off of Ridge Path.
Just wanted to make a note that Rossi was going to be here tonight for DCR, but unfortunately, he's told so could not make it, and he apologizes.
Thank you. So this is very similar to the other one we had a little while back, in which they're asking, let me just get the file.
I actually wrote something up, but I believe that's David's.
Yeah.
It's too late, she's done talking.
Who's in the new?
Yeah, it is in here. I had a copy of it, and I don't know where I should my copy now.
There's one paper that you signed, and then there's one in the date.
Do you want me to read the whole letter? Or just,
Give a synopsis of it.
so I just said that there was 2 parcels available, both located off of Ridge Path. The properties are currently undeveloped and are unmanaged forests. The proposed use for the properties will be protected for open space and recreation as part of the Hoyoke Range State Park. Attached is a locust map marked Exhibit A, which shows the properties in which DCR is interested. So we have the applicable regulations require the disclosure of the Commonwealth's reasons for the proposed land acquisition at a public hearing held in the city or town in which such real property is located. To comply with this requirement, we ask that the board announce that the Commonwealth is considering this acquisition for the above stated purposes at its next regularly scheduled meeting, and the board does not need to take any formal action on its part. So please document the announcement in the board's meeting minutes and reply to this email by copying and pasting the statement in the box below, filled out appropriately in a reply email to me. So it says actually that's for you, Dave, because you're the clerk. And then the back one's for me, yeah.
I, David Labonte, certify that on losing the date already.
Oh, October.
October 7th, 2024, it was announced at public meeting of the Select Board that the Department of Conservation and Recreation is considering the acquisition of 2 parcels of land located in Granby as shown on the attached locus map marked as Exhibit A for conservation and/or recreation purposes.
Do you want him to sign the paper here? So you would sign that.
So,
Put your name.
this one.
Yeah. And then the back side too. All right, so the applicable regulations require that 120 days prior to a purchase, an agency must notify certain public officials of its proposed action. The notification is for informational purposes only. Should DCR decide to pursue this acquisition, it may be necessary to complete the transaction in less than the 120-day notice period. So we therefore ask that you agree to waive the 120-day notice period and indicate your waiver by cutting and pasting the statement in the box below in a reply email to the gentleman from mass.gov. So if you guys are okay with it, the 120-day waiver statement would say pursuant 301 CMR 51.07 1B, I, Crystal Dufresne, Chair, hereby acknowledge that on October 7th, 2024, the Granby Select Board hereby agreed to waive the 120-day notice period as required by said section regarding to 2 parcels of land located in Granby as shown on the attached locus map marked as Exhibit A for conservation and/or recreation purposes, in which the Department of Conservation and Recreation is considering acquiring an interest.
Which is all right here.
And the Exhibit A is right there.
Should put it in this package for us, actually. So, this is one. So this is the one I just signed there.
I don't have any problem with it.
Okay. So just a motion to waive the 120-day waiver statement?
I will make a motion to waive the 120-day waiver statement.
I'll second the motion.
And then also to give me authorization to sign it.
I will make a motion that Chair Crystal Dufresne has authorization to sign.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So this,
Yep. Thank you.
the sign, second page.
And then Chris, you would just copy and paste it, or do you just send him the letter? 'Cause it says to copy and paste it into an email to him, or do you just send him the letter?
I'm gonna send them those 2 right there.
Okay.
And by.
So we didn't even have to send,
No.
but she's gonna send the documents.
So,
All right, next one, approve and sign Granby warrant of 2024 state election 11/5/2024.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts, William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth, Granby warrant for 2024 state election. To the constables of the town of Granby and the county of Hampshire. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town who are qualified to vote in elections to vote at the Granby Junior High School at 385 East State Street in said town for precincts 1, 2, and 2A. 1, 2, and 2A precinct numbers, 385 State Street, polling location, East State Street, excuse me, polling location, on Tuesday, the 5th day of November 2024, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the following purpose: to cast their votes in state election for the candidates for the following offices: electors of presidents and vice president for these United States, senator in Congress for this Commonwealth, representative in Congress, 1st District, counselor, 8th District, senator in general court, First Hamden, Hampshire, and Worcester District. Representative in General Court, Third Hampshire District, Precinct 1 and 2A. Representative in General Court, Second Hampshire District, Precinct 2. Clerk of Courts, Hampshire County. Register of Deeds, Hampshire District. Register of Probate to fill a vacancy, Hampshire County. Regional School Committee, Pathfinder Regional Vocational Technical High School District. Question 1, law proposed by initiative petition. Do you approve a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives before May 2024? Summary. This proposed law would specify that the state auditor has the authority to audit the legislature. A yes vote would specify that the state auditor has the authority to audit the legislature. A no vote would make no change in the law relative to state auditor's authority. Question 2. Law proposed by initiative petition. Do you approve of a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives before May 2024? Summary. This proposed law would eliminate the requirement that a student pass the Massachusetts Comprehensive Assessment System tests, otherwise noted, or other statewide or district-wide assessments in mathematics, science, and technology, and in English in order to receive a high school diploma. Instead, in order for a student to receive a high school diploma, the proposed law would require the student to complete coursework certified by the student's district as demonstrating mastery of the competencies contained in the state academic standards in mathematics, science and technology, and English, as well as any additional areas determined by the Board of Elementary, Secondary Education. A yes vote would eliminate the requirement that students pass the Massachusetts Comprehensive Assessment System, MCAS, in order to graduate high school, but still require students to complete coursework that meets state standards. A no vote would make no change in the law relative to the requirement that a student pass the MCAS in order to graduate high school. Question 3, law proposed by initiative petition. Do you approve a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives before May 1, 2024? Summary. The proposed law would provide transportation network drivers with the right to inform unions to collectively bargain with transportation network companies, which are companies that use a digital network to connect riders to drivers for prearranged transportation, to create negotiated recommendations concerning wages, benefits, and terms and conditions of work. Drivers would not be required to engage in any union activities. Companies would be allowed to form multiple company associations to represent them when negotiating with driver organizations. The state would supervise the labor activities permitted by the proposed law and would have responsibility for approving or disapproving the negotiated recommendations. The proposed law would define certain activities by a company or driver organization to be unfair work practices. The proposed law would establish a hearing process for the State Employment Relations Board to follow when a company or driver organization is charged with an unfair work practice. The proposed law would permit the board to take action, including awarding compensation to adversely affected drivers if it found that an unfair work practice had been committed. The proposed law would provide for an appeal of a board decision to the state appeals court. The proposed law also would establish a procedure for determining which drivers are active drivers, meaning that they completed more than the median number of rides in the previous 6 months. The proposed law would establish procedures for the board to determine that a driver organization has signed authorizations from at least 5% of active drivers, entitling the driver organization to a list of active drivers. To designate a driver organization as the exclusive bargaining representative for all drivers based on signed authorization from at least 25% of active drivers. To resolve disputes over exclusive bargaining status, including through elections, and to decertify a driver organization from exclusive bargaining status. A driver organization that has been designated the exclusive bargaining representative would have the exclusive right to represent the drivers and to receive voluntary membership dues deductions. Once the board determined that a driver organization was the exclusive bargaining representative for all drivers, the companies would be required to bargain with that driver organization concerning wages, benefits, and terms and conditions of work. Once the driver organization and companies reached agreement on wages, benefits, and the terms and conditions of work, that agreement would be voted upon by all drivers who has completed at least 100 trips the previous quarter. If approved by a majority of votes cast, the recommendations would be submitted to the State Secretary of Labor for approval, and if approved, would be effective for 3 years. The proposed law would establish procedures for the mediation and arbitration if the driver organization and companies failed to reach agreement within a certain period of time. An arbitrator would consider factors set forth in the proposed law, including whether the wages of drivers would be enough so that drivers would not need to rely upon any public benefits. The proposed law also sets out procedures for the Secretary of Labor's review and approval of recommendations negotiated by a driver organization and the companies, and for, The proposed law also sets out procedures for the Secretary of Labor's review and approval of recommendations negotiated by a driver organization and the companies, and for judicial review of the Secretary's decision. The proposed law states that neither its provisions and agreement nor determination by the Secretary would be able to lessen labor standards established by an agreement, nor a determination by the Secretary would be able to lessen labor standards established by other laws. If there were any conflict between the proposed law and existing Massachusetts labor relations law, the proposed law would prevail. The board would make rules and regulations as appropriate to effectuate the proposed law. The proposed law states that if any of its parts were declared invalid, the other parts would stay in effect. A yes vote would provide transportation network drivers the option to inform unions to collectively bargain with transportation network companies regarding wages, benefits, and terms and conditions of work. A no vote would make no change in the law relative to the ability of transportation network drivers to form unions.
Want me to take question 4?
Would you?
Okay.
Oh, you know.
All right, question 4, law
Thank you.
proposed by initiative petition. Do you approve of a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives before May 1st, 2024? Summary. This proposed law would allow persons aged 21 and older to grow, possess, and use certain natural psychedelic substances in certain circumstances. The psychedelic substances allowed would be 2 substances found in mushrooms. Oh boy, psilocybin and psilocin.
Psilocybin and psilocin.
And the 3 substances found in plants, dimethyltryptamine, mescaline, and ibogaine.
Got
We're gonna go with those.
ibogaine.
These substances could be purchased at an approved location for use under the supervision of a licensed facilitator. This proposed law would otherwise prohibit any retail sale of natural psychedelic substances. This proposed law would also provide for the regulation and taxation of these psychedelic substances. This proposed law would license and regulate facilities offering supervised use of these psychedelic substances and provide for the taxation of proceeds from those facilities' sales of psychedelic substances. It would also allow persons aged 21 and older to grow these psychedelic substances in a 12-foot by 12-foot area at their home and use these psychedelic substances at their home. This proposed law would authorize persons aged 21 or older to possess up to 1 gram of psilocybin or 1 gram of psilocin, 1 gram of dimethyltryptamine, 18 grams of mescaline, and 30 grams of ibogaine. Ibogaine? I don't know. All right, personal use amount. In addition to whatever they might grow at their home and to give away up to the personal use amount to a person aged 21 or over. This proposed law would create a Natural Psychedelic Substances Commission of 5 members appointed by the governor, attorney general, and treasurer, which would administer the law governing the use and distribution of these psychedelic substances. The commission would adopt regulations governing licensing, qualifications, security, record keeping, education and training, health and safety requirements, testing, and age verification. This proposed law would also create a Natural Psychedelic Substances Advisory Board of 20 members, appointed by the governor, attorney general, and treasurer, which would study and make recommendations to the commission on the regulation and taxation of these psychedelic substances. This proposed law would allow cities and towns to reasonably restrict the time, place, and manner of the operation of licensed facilities offering psychedelic substances, but cities and towns could not ban those facilities or their provision of these substances. The proceeds of sales of psychedelic substances at licensed facilities would be subject to the state sales tax and an additional excise tax of 15%. In addition, the city or town could impose a separate tax of up to 2%. Revenue received from the additional state excise tax, license application fees, and civil penalties for violations of this proposed law would be deposited in a Natural Psychedelic Substances Regulation Fund and would be used subject to appropriation for administration of this proposed law. Using the psychedelic substances as permitted by this proposed law could not be a basis to deny a person medical care or public assistance, impose discipline by a professional licensing board, or enter adverse orders in child custody cases, absent clear and convincing evidence that the activities created an unreasonable danger to the safety of a minor child. This proposed law would not affect existing laws regarding the operation of motor vehicles while under the influence or the ability of employers to enforce workplace policies restricting the consumption of these psychedelic substances by employees. This proposed law would allow property owners to prohibit the use, display, growing, processing, or sale of these psychedelic substances on their premises. State and local governments could continue to restrict the possession and use of these psychedelic substances in public buildings or at schools. This proposed law would take effect on December 15th, 2024. A yes vote would allow persons over age 21 to use certain natural psychedelic substances under licensed supervision and to grow and possess limited quantities of those substances in their home and would create a commission to regulate those substances. A no vote would make no change in the law regarding natural psychedelic substances. Question 5, law proposed of initiative petition. Do you approve of a law summarized below on which no vote was taken by the Senate or the House of Representatives before May 1st, 2024? Summary, the proposed law would gradually increase the minimum hourly wage an employer must pay a tipped worker over the course of 5 years on the following schedule: to 64% of the state minimum wage on January 1st, 2025, to 73% of the state minimum wage on January 1st, 2026, to 82% of the state minimum wage of January 1st, 2027, to 91% of the state minimum wage on January 1st, 2028, and to 100% of the state minimum wage on January 1st, 2029. The proposed law would require employers to continue to pay tipped workers the difference between the state minimum wage and the total amount a tipped worker receives in hourly wages plus tips through the end of 2028. The proposed law would also permit employers to calculate this difference over the entire weekly or biweekly payroll period. The requirement to pay the difference would cease when the required hourly wage for tipped workers would become 100% of the state minimum wage on January 1st, 2029. Under the proposed law, if an employer pays its workers an hourly wage that is at least the state minimum wage, the employer would be permitted to administer a tip pool that combines all the tips given by customers to tipped workers and distributes them among all the workers, including non-tipped workers. A yes vote would increase the minimum hourly wage an employer must pay a tipped worker to the full state minimum wage implemented over 5 years, at which point the employers could pool all the tips and distribute them to all non-management workers. A no vote would make no change in the law governing tip pooling or the minimum wage for tipped workers. Hereof, fail not and make return of this warrant with your doings thereon at the time and place of said voting, given under our hands in the 7th day of October 2024. So that was our motion, right? It was a long one. So do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
No discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for doing the reading.
No problem. When Glenn and I flip the paper over, we're like, oh
Start
boy.
with the-
You sound the unknown.
I read it all this afternoon too.
No, I saw it last night. I was like, ooh, that's gonna be a long-winded one. There's 2 copies. Yeah. So Chris, I just noticed, do we have to, we had a Exhibit C on the designer. Did we have to make a motion for you to sign this on behalf of the select board?
No, Exhibit C is signed by the designer.
Okay, yep, thank you. All right, so do we have any pressing issues from past? The only thing I have is open spaces meeting this Thursday, just to go over our public session that we had at Dino Fest. And green communities, we are gonna file, is Pioneer Valley Planning Commission helping us with the yearly?
I gotta get it back to that person.
Okay,
The only other thing is for the Forge Pond.
yes,
I wanna see if, Dave Leonard can come in and give a update in person.
yes, that would be good. But they still haven't opened the other one, right?
Correct. No, we're not.
I thought he anticipated in the summer he was going to. Yeah,
Most of you guys know, tomorrow's gonna be chaotic in town. They're paving the Route
Yes.
202 rotary. They told us 2 days. They decided to try to put it down to 1, being tomorrow. So there's gonna
Okay.
be road closures, there's gonna be, delays.
okay,
I shared it on our webpage. I shared it on Facebook. I updated it again today on Facebook. Just so, well, tomorrow's gonna be chaotic.
and the resource officer did share it with all the students too, to let them know to plan accordingly on their way into school.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He
so
did,
it's supposed to be an all-day project, like 7 to 5 kind of thing, but, you know, I started a little early and they want to get that done tomorrow. As far as this corner, they're still waiting for light structures and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. This may not do much until spring, it will be going.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
And Chris, were you able to reach out to the other committees and boards about having a joint meeting?
When would you want to have
I
these
think we were
meetings?
waiting till after the special town meeting, right?
Yeah, so
That's
I'm
what
just
we're
trying to figure out,
Thank you.
do you want to have them all, or do you want to break them up, so many per meeting? One a meeting?
Do we need all the board members from every board or just?
At least a
to
representative
represent,
from them.
right?
You just have representative, which is
Yeah,
fine,
that's what I
but,
thought.
and if other people from the board wants to be part of it, that's fine too.
So I think what we were looking at was we're trying to come up with plans for the town, but we're not the only ones that have ideas of what needs to happen in town. So someone from the planning board, someone from the Board of Health, someone from, give me a minute, conservation,
School committee.
school committee. Do we want to do them separate, like Chris is saying? Because if we get us all in a room, you gotta have a clear agenda, otherwise it can spiral real fast. So,
But that's the point of having it, that you have input. You can have an agenda, but you would want to have
Yeah.
input from each board, just, it's more an informational
Yeah.
meeting to give people thoughts and suggestions as we're, moving the town forward.
Do you have a
Fine.
date in mind for that meeting?
because we're already at November 4th for after
Do you want to do it as a separate meeting all by
Yeah, I think
itself?
I think it
Yes.
needs to be a separate meeting.
I would think, yeah.
So we're looking at November, but we would have to do you guys want to do before Thanksgiving? Because then we're getting into December, which is tree lighting, and then our COA luncheon.
Maybe we can do it beforehand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe like the Thursday before Thanksgiving or something like
The
that,
21st.
or Wednesday or something like that.
October.
And it doesn't gotta be, we can set the meeting, we can, tell people, we'll start at 5:30, we start at 6 o'clock instead of 8. It's a 2-hour window. We're not staying till 9, 10 o'clock at night. We can set it.
And now we're expecting like an overview of what's happening with each committee, right? And then what what else are we asking them?
I think
Any
just,
goals or,
it gives us a chance, I think, to provide information back to the residents for each committee as to what maybe their goals are, what they see for the future, some of the plans they want to work on. So if that involves other committees working together or the boards working together, has an option to kind of start talking about that.
so goals for each committee and needs of the town moving forward? That's within their purview?
The discussion.
So what time do you want this meeting to start?
I think 6 o'clock, we do 6 to 8, and that's so people know the start time is the end time, and
Yeah.
we'll end at 8 o'clock and be done.
Okay,
And we said November 21st, right?
21?
Yep.
If more than, their committee or board members want to show up and they have a quorum, then they have to call their meeting to order, that's all.
we'll
We'd have
probably
to-
have all the chairs set up then in the room,
Yeah,
just to play it safe.
yeah.
Because there may be some residents who may want to just come to and
Yeah.
listen to.
And I think we just post it as such because it's gonna have to be posted that in case they do have 2 or 3 people from each committee show up, then that's,
Well, and just with us alone. Yes.
well, us would be a meeting, yeah, but I think we'd have to just set it up for each one.
Okay.
And at that time of the meeting, they can declare whether or not they're actually gonna meet. They can not meet as a committee or a board because they don't, enough people to show up, so they wouldn't be meeting as such.
Okay.
We can do something like that.
Because if they
Because
come.
you have to send it out beforehand, because if enough show up and they have enough people there, yeah, so they have to, it's, because there's gotta be notification of the meeting for them. There's town council looking at me, also looking. What's this guy talking about?
Yeah, so we would either ask for a representative from that board or that committee, or if they do, like you're saying, if they do decide to come, all of them, then they would have to post their meeting as such. Okay.
Well, we'd have to.
And maybe you want to do that in an abundance of caution too,
Yeah.
because if unknowns to each other,
Right.
a quorum of them do show up and they go outside of the lanes of private citizen participation, that would be considered a meeting.
Right. So I think they're better off just setting it up as a meeting, and if they don't have a quorum, then they can say, we're not gonna proceed as a meeting because we don't have a quorum. But they have individuals that can speak out.
That can represent the board or the committee. Okay. And then for 11-4 meeting, is there any, because we're not gonna add anything to the town meeting, obviously, the special town meeting, besides that one document that we have to sign
Yes.
for the stormwater. So is there anything new that you guys want to discuss on November 4th?
I want to talk about just the Parks and Recreation Department and moving forward with that. Just I've heard from different people in town. I think we need some better accountability for our parks than we have right now, and I don't know if that means that we have a paid employee down the road or something like that. But I think it's open. I think it's something we should start talking about and discussing because I know our fiscal budgets are coming up, within the next several months.
So if we can work it into the.
So if it's something we think and maybe get some input from, town residents as well, as far as what they see, because if they're willing to maybe support a position that there's a responsibility that someone has that responsibility and they're being paid for it. So there's a responsibility, but also accountability.
I think it's something that we've needed for a while, because the parents run most of it in the town.
It does. I mean, it sometimes you lose that accountability and responsibility piece because people move on or, they're not involved anymore with it. So, I think it's something that we start talking about and discussing and maybe, for a lot of people from the community.
Do you want to create a separate department called recreation? Is that
I
what you're
think
looking
that's what
at?
he's looking in, I think that's what he's.
I just think it's something to discuss. I don't know if it's feasible to do something like that, but I like to at least have a discussion and start kind of talking about it.
I know we had, Mr. Petrus came in here talking to us about it at one point.
Yep.
And how important it was, but we didn't have it in the budget at that time and we didn't have space for them. But with the new West Street building, we were hoping, that we would have more room, but yes, it is a position that would have to be funded. I think that would be separate than what we have now, because
But-
maintenance takes care of everything in town, all our town buildings. So we'd be looking for someone to run the programs it could be senior after hour programs, it could be arts and crafts, it could be summer programs, it could, right?
I want a responsible person
Yeah.
for the parks that we have. I mean, we talk about what we have and that.
So are you talking maintenance, I guess? Because I thought you were talking more on recreation.
Well,
Or are we talking
both
maintenance, too?
sides of it. There's just gotta be someone accountable for everything that takes place in the parks.
Well, we do
Just
have Jeremy at that, right? He's at Parks and,
But
No,
Jeremy's
No, I think what he's looking for, instead of having a Parks Oversight Committee,
okay,
that we can't get volunteers, you actually have a town department that runs programs, oversees the rentals, oversees, fees, maintenance,
there's a lot of,
mowing, weed whacking, whatever.
When we had before.
But the issue is gonna come is at some point, you're probably gonna have to expand employees in that department if you're gonna expect them to do ground maintenance and equipment maintenance. Because, because the problem becomes is Jeremy reports to the town administrator. If you create this other person who feels that they can tell him what he needs to do in the parks, he's gonna have an issue with that. Because you can only work for one boss.
I was gonna say you can't be answering to both because then you're being pulled in.
Yes.
But the parks, if we had someone for the Parks Department or something like that, they would answer to the town administrator too.
But I'm just saying, but we've run into problems where that person will say, well, you need to take care of this now, when that's not really their authority. They can put the requests.
It's the town administrator's
Right.
authority to tell, yeah, I need you to take care of this tomorrow, okay?
Right.
But I think they both could fall under that, the town administrator and
Work together.
work together.
Yeah.
Collaboration, it's gotta be, Jared, we have a department right now that has the equipment and we've purchased equipment, expensive equipment, for that. I don't see you having a whole other department to take care of that. We can continue to build the department we have now if additional equipment or personnel is needed. With that, but I also think it's just someone that's responsible for things that are taking place in the parks. The upkeep, we're making sure that things are being done when they're supposed to be done. To that part, I think there's just no accountability for it right now.
I think the problem is the town buildings,
Well-
take precedence as they should. So when it's the busy season and we get a lot of rain and the grass grows, that's when we get the most complaints because you can't keep up with both. So maybe if you have someone that can help during those busy season, is that kind of what you're thinking
Yeah,
of for the
right.
accountability of making sure that the field is ready for the T-ball
Yeah.
game or whatever?
And I think it's someone, or the way I look
To
at it,
organize the
yeah.
programs.
I look at someone in that position as being active, as, they could have wear a variety of different hats, if you will, as far as that position. I'm just thinking, like I said, we have a committee now that no one wants to volunteer beyond it. And I think it's a responsibility to kind of look at that we need to take some type of ownership for the parks.
I don't disagree with it, but we also have to make sure that they don't feel that they can be the lone wolf out there. They do have to report to somebody.
Well, they do, they would report to just like any
Well-
employee, they can have a supervisor.
We did have a parks director before, park and rec director, who reported to the recreation commission. We ended up eliminating the position because the person wasn't keeping their bosses in the loop of what was going on. They were out there doing whatever they wanted to do and didn't go by what some of the other people wanted to do that were higher up, like the board, start up the summer youth program, start up this program, do this program, do that program. Okay? Plus what we had under that thing, we had, for instance, Mr. Peters running a ski trip. Okay? Well, no, everything has to be done by that person then, okay?
Oh, he did the ski trip out of the school, so that was his own personal thing.
Not necessarily,
I think that was part of the Parks and Recreation. I thought he just did that on his own.
no. Because the town, through the Parks and Recreation Department, paid for like bus, things of that nature, tickets. The reason I'm looking at Kathy, she was on the Parks and Rec Commission back then.
Well, we don't have to come up with a decision tonight.
Right,
It
but
is
he wants
good.
to-
It's opening up the discussion and having some input from the residents would be helpful as well. I mean, it's, like I said, it's a conversation. It's a starting point. to move
What would we
forward.
need to get it started? How much would it cost and so forth? And what are we looking for them to do?
Yeah, I think if it's the time to really start thinking about it, because we know in several months we'll be talking about budgets and things like that. So if we need to talk about putting another position in there, you have to look at that.
So with that, I do have a question about charter days. Do we have any movement on charter days? Because we're already in October.
I did see something on Facebook.
Well, I did post that
I
trying to get
appreciate
more
that.
people.
And I appreciate that. I know that the people that were on it last year, three of the five do not wish to do it. So it's
Yeah.
just, again, and I hate to say it, it's just the interest, but there was a woman that I've been contact, that spoke at a couple meetings ago, that's willing to kind of take it on under some of the things that she does. So we'll see
I
how
think that
far
was Susan Knightley, right?
Yes,
Yep.
so we'll see how far that can go, and how much, volunteer people that she could have. She seems very interested in doing it. And I just think it's something that has the time And like I say, time and effort to do it. It does take a lot, and, you know, that's, people are seeing that or understanding it, and I know I said it to you, Crystal, many times, is that the town's very grateful for the amount of work that you did with it. And I think when people look at it, it's a lot for someone to take
It's
on.
overwhelming.
It is.
It is. But we do, like you said, we need volunteers, and right now I think we only have 2 that we appointed, right, Kathy, to the committee?
No, we had more.
Well, one of them resigned, right? I remember see,
There was like 8,
there is 8 on the
I
committee?
believe so. I'll send you the list.
I was gonna say, I think I just looked at the ones that we approved for appointment, and I didn't see 8 on the list, but I could be.
I remember it as 5 on the
I know.
list, but
Some of the people that are last year, there's 3 that said they don't want to do it anymore. They've notified me and said,
There was a husband and wife.
Yeah.
Just another one, 211 Haley Street. There was myself, there was, that Bachelor Street. And Nicholas,
Robinson?
Robinson. Yeah, I think there was.
Were you still on it, but were you still on it?
I was still, I,
Timing, right?
it's just, I don't have the really time to do it, but I'll be just the conduit, if you will, from the board.
Yeah.
More or less.
Mr. William Liberty, he was one of them.
And he said he can't do it anymore, either, so he's one.
Didn't get-
He reached out to me a few weeks ago, said I'm just not gonna have the time to do it, it's too much of a commitment.
So I can, with the people that you have, if we want to call a meeting, I can at least get them started, Glenn, if you want me to. And
Yeah,
tell them what they can do to move it along. And then hopefully they'll get more people. And I'm still willing to help up and set up for that first day of the fair. I just don't want to be there the whole weekend. So I'd be willing to get them set up and organized, but not the point person in charge for the weekend.
really,
We
we
can
can
see.
schedule, I'll call you this week, Kathy.
Yeah.
We'll schedule a meeting. Cause I know you have all the information that Crystal had and, you know, maybe if we gotta, we have to have a select board meeting with Crystal and myself.
Oh, that's right, because if we're both there.
But, right, so we can call a select board meeting. And the only thing we put on the agenda could be the
Charter.
Saturdays, and if Dave wants to show up, he's more possible, welcome to show up, he doesn't have to be here.
Yeah.
We can do it that way too.
Okay.
So, all right.
Sounds good. All right, so if there's nothing else, we will now go into executive session under Mass General Law 30A-21.5 to investigate charges of criminal misconduct or to consider the filing of criminal complaints. We will only return to regular session to adjourn the meeting. Roll call vote. Dufresne, aye.
Labonte, aye.
Sexton, aye?
Thank you.